Okay, so we're about to dive into a story that honestly sounds like it's straight out of a movie. We're talking a secret train journey, a hidden meeting of the world's most powerful money men, and a plan that would change the American economy forever. This is the story of how the Federal Reserve was born. Just let that sink in for a second. And get this isn't some movie plot. Our source material says this is exactly what happened. We're talking about six men whose names basically represented a huge chunk of the world's wealth at the time, just disappearing. They vanished from public view for a mission that would stay a secret for years. So, what was their destination? And what on earth was their mission? These are the two big questions we're going to unpack right now. And the answers, well, they tell a pretty wild story about power, strategy, and the very money that you and I use every single day. To get those answers, our story kicks off on a chilly November night back in 1910 at a train station in New Jersey. The level of secrecy here was, well, it was extreme. These weren't spies, remember? They were titans of finance. They apparently told the train staff to only use their first names, so even their own attendants wouldn't know who they really were. And their destination? A super exclusive private club on Jekyll Island. It was so remote they could work without anyone knowing they were even there. So who were these guys, really? Well, according to the source, this group represented the interests of the biggest names in money. Think J.P. Morgan, the Rockefellers, and the major New York banks. This wasn't just some casual get-together. It was a summit of the most powerful financial minds on the planet at the time. And that brings us to their mission. For 9 solid days, these 6 men locked themselves away and hammered out a plan. A plan for a brand new kind of bank, one that would control the entire American financial system. The goal was to create something called a central bank. Now, what is that? Basically, it's a bank for banks. It gets special powers like controlling interest rates and, here's the big one, the power to create and manage a country's money supply. Now, this slide gets to the very heart of the deception that our source claims happened. On the one side, you've got the public reason. Look, the country had just been shaken by a huge financial panic in 1907, so people wanted reform. The plan was sold as a way to make everything stable. But on the other side, the source alleges the real goal was to consolidate power, to shift control of the nation's money from the government to a small, private group of powerful bankers. Okay, so having a secret plan is one thing, but actually getting it passed into law, especially when the public was already super suspicious of big bankers, that's a whole different ballgame. And this next part is what the source calls a textbook lesson of deceit. I mean, think about it. This was their biggest problem. If anyone found out that this new plan for a so-called People's Bank was actually written by the most powerful guys on Wall Street, it would have been dead on arrival. No way it would pass. They needed a brilliant strategy. So how did they allegedly pull it off? Step 1, hide where the plan actually came from. They had politicians introduce it like it was their own idea. Step 2, launch a huge PR campaign. They argued this was the only way to protect the savings of the average Joe. In step 3, this one's pretty clever. They pushed for the final vote on the bill in late December of 1913, right when a lot of Congress was already gone for the Christmas holiday. And you know what? As the source tells it, the strategy was incredibly effective. The whole thing worked. And the consequences? Well, they were massive. Just look at this timeline. It's a straight shot from that secret meeting on a remote island to the passage of one of the most important financial laws in American history. And it only took 3 years. And there it is, 1913. President Woodrow Wilson signs the Federal Reserve Act into law. The Jekyll Island plan was no longer just a plan. It was reality. The United States officially had a central bank. So what was the ultimate prize here? Our source describes it as the power to create money from nothing. Now, that doesn't mean they had printing presses in a back room. It refers to the banking system's power to create money in the form of credit, basically loaning out way more money than they actually have in deposits. The source argues that this law effectively handed that incredible power over from the U.S. government to a private group of banks. So the story of Jekyll Island isn't just some interesting tidbit from history. It really makes you ask a pretty fundamental question about where power actually lies in our financial world. And that's the thought I really want to leave you with. We've just gone through the source's claims about a plan that was hatched over 100 years ago. And it leaves us with a pretty big question for our own time. In today's world of digital currency and global finance, who are the secret six of today?
And what kind of plans might they be making for our economic future?